What's up, man? Alright, friends and neighbors. Some of you might have seen it on Instagram, but I got a new toy. I'm not sure what to call it yet. So far I've been calling it the little blue truck, because I didn't have enough blue trucks. But I got another one. It's a cute little truck. Kind of like it. Been taking a different approach, a few different things we're going to do with it. This guy really likes it. Let me show you some stuff. So here's what I'm thinking. I know some of y'all seen this before in other videos. This is my Toyota Racing Development. A popsicle? Alright, give me a second. Toyota Racing Development Centrifugal Supercharger, made by Vortec. It is one of these, if not the smallest unit that Vortec makes. However, it's still, according to the Vortec website, should flow enough air to make 550 horsepower. So, I'm thinking about putting this on the, again, what I'm calling the little blue truck. It's kind of a weird setup because it came off of a Toyota, so I'm gonna have to fab a mount and a drive. But looking at this, it had a coupling and an extender on it to drive this, mounted on the rear of a 4-cylinder and a Scion originally. But when I pulled the bolt off, I did realize that shaft is the same size as Supercharger pulley that I put on that B&M 142, which means pulleys are readily available, and all I'll have to do is cut this snout off so the shaft is accessible, because the bearings and the seals are behind it. So kind of excited about it. They make all kinds of different mounts for the LS engine, and I don't know, they're pretty expensive. I'll probably just fab something up, but not sure how I'll go about it, but I think that's what I'm going to do. I guess once I figure out more, I'll let you know. Is it popsicle time? Popsicle time? Alright, popsicles it is. Oh, popsicle time! I just disrupted his spider web, and now he's upsetted by it. That, friends, is an arachnid. Not real big, but I still don't want him crawling on me. Did I show you I put skinnies on the front of Blueloo? I really don't like the look of that. I might go back to the fat ones. Anyways, did I tell you that I broke him? I put that on Instagram too for a minute. Seems as though I pulled some rocker studs out, perhaps under boost. And the same weekend, young Milky and his Milky Way over here managed to break his transmission. So we got the engine tuned up, running good, put a posi in it, put a mini spool in it, so he could do 2-wheel burnouts. And that proved to be a little too much traction for the transmission. So, we'll find a weak spot, won't we? Yes, we will. Alright, so out here is where we store all of the broken stuff that I still haven't fixed. All of the broken stuff. I still ain't fixed that either. Oh my. I got my work cut out for me, don't I? I either need to stop breaking stuff or start fixing stuff, one of the two. Okay, so here is my TRD Supercharger. Been working on the truck a little bit. front mounted an intercooler. This is that camera that I can't get too far away from. Not sure if I'll go down with the pipes or through with the pipes. Guess it'll depend on how I mount the supercharger. Also don't know whether I mount the supercharger over here or over here. That is going to depend on where my pulley mounts, which is why I'm now working on that. So pulled that shroud off so you can see the impeller. And you see it spin. And you see the oil in, oil out. Fairly self-explanatory. I think I showed you in the last clip this coupling was on here. So what I'm going to do is attempt to pull this off of here and see how much shaft I've got to work with so I can mount the pulley. And I think my next step is I'm going to pull these bolts out, take this off, see what it looks like on the back side, see where the bearings mount, where the seal is. I want to say, looking down in there, I can't see with the camera, but looking down in there, it looks like the seal's down here and the bearings mount below that. So I think we're going to be good to cut it off, but I need to get it all apart in order to see that and verify that. Or I might just be, you know, barking up the wrong tree. Who knows? Done that before. But I got a little excited about it. I guess we'll find out. Well, there it is. So you see I got the 3-pin coupler off of there. Wasn't terribly hard. And was required in order to get this off, because I had to pull up off the seal. You can see where it's got an oil residue in it, but it also had some water sitting in it at some point. Bearings look good. Got little thrust washers on. It's all clean in there. Somebody had it taped up pretty good when I got it, so and now that it is off, I can see that all that fits pretty good there. So I think the next order of business would be to cut this snouter off. I guess somewhere down around here above that seal. Got a bandsaw that'll do that trick just fine. And put that on, put the bolt back in it. I think we'll be ready to find a location on the accessory drive for this thing. Got a nice little O-ring seal. Woohoo! It's gonna work. Yay me. So the other thing I'm gonna do while I've got this apart, besides I am gonna replace that seal. That thing's hard and crusty. I just put a little oil on. I was gonna set it back on there, but it's hard and crusty. I know that'll be a leaker. So I'll save myself the headache. I'll go ahead and buy a seal while I got it apart. But I've marked this tooth, and I've marked one of the pinion teeth as well. I'm going to count those teeth and I'm going to get the ratio, because on the Vortec website this supercharger has a maximum impeller speed of 52,000 RPMs. So since I know this pulley fits, and I know that I can buy these pulleys in a variety of sizes, and I know this supercharger is fairly small. I know this thing needs to be close to or at maximum RPM at redline of my engine without overspinning it. So I don't want to put a small supercharger pulley on it, for example, and spin this thing 65,000 RPMs, because then the impeller is going to explode, and that's not healthy for a lot of things. So I don't want to do that, but also with it being on the small side, I know I'm going to need to be close to its limits, so I also don't want it turning, 36,000 RPMs, because it's not going to make boost. So I'm going to try and maximize it without putting it in danger when selecting a pulley size. Now, like I said, I've got this one laying around. It came off of the Milky Way, but I know that the variety of sizes available for those pulleys is pretty wide open, and they're relatively inexpensive. I think I paid a neighborhood of $50 for the pulley that's on the Milky Way now. So if I get the right pulley, get this thing spinning maximum, then it should make some boost, and not be so fast that it explodes, and then all will be happy. Alright, so I did the little math here, and what I see is on a V5 F trim, 52,000 RPM max speed, 14 PSI, it's a 750 CFM unit. Max power is about 550 CFM with a 76% efficiency. And it is the smallest one that Vortec makes on their conversion chart. So, go on my math sheet here, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. I may have done this wrong, I ain't no genius, but it's got 83 teeth and 23 teeth, which gives me a step-up ratio of 3.6, which means with a maximum impeller speed of 52,000 RPMs, the input speed would be 14,444. I have a 7.5 inch crank pulley, and that supercharger pulley that I had laying there is a 3.5, which gives me a ratio of 2.14. So if I assume a red line of 6,000 RPMs, because the engine still has a stock cam in it, with a overdrive of 2.14, that gives me a ratio, or a input speed at the supercharger of 12,840, which only gives me an impeller speed of 46,224, which is a little bit shy of where I want to be of the 52,000 max at redline. So probably want to downsize that supercharged pulley just a little bit. So assuming again the 6,000 RPM redline, want to be at a 2.4 overdrive on the belt drive. That's going to give you a 14.4 input speed, and a 3.1 inch pulley is going to give you a 242, which is going to give you a 14,520. That's as close as you can get with the given sizes they have now. These numbers might be slightly off, because I measured the top of the grooves on the crank pulley, and basically the outside of the supercharger pulley, or what they're listing on eBay. So you might be off a tenth of an inch or something. So that gets you in the ballpark. You're also, what they've listed for the red line of that engine with the stock cam is 6,000. I know from driving it around that it doesn't like to rev to 6,000 RPMs with the stock cam in it. Although the characteristics will change after we boost it. It might like to rev a little bit better once it's force fed, but at least naturally aspirated, it doesn't like to get up much past about 5,200. So we'll see how it acts. And of course, if I step up to a larger cam later, put headers on it, it's going to want to rev a little bit better. I may have to go back to that 3.5 inch pulley that I got sitting there, because I didn't write it down, but basically at 6,700 RPMs with the 3.5 inch pulley, you're reaching that 52,000 RPMs on the impeller. So if the engine were to rev a little bit higher, that 3.5 inch pulley would work good. But right now the engine's not wanting to rev that high, so I think I'm gonna order me a 3.1 inch pulley. That's gonna put me right in the ballpark for maximum RPM on that supercharger. And again, if I've done something wrong in my math, you can correct me, and I wouldn't be offended because I'm no genius, but that's what I came up with.